So now we go back to the chapter number 6, stanza number 22, and now we discuss the points of looking at the nature of the things, looking at how the things are, also that we need to, practice patience. The stanza number 22 says, I am not angry with my bile and other humors, fertile source of suffering and pain. So why should living beings give offense? They likewise are impaled by circumstances. So when you say that I am angry or I hate, not because they are kind of circumstances, not because not just it brings suffering, but the people who are beings who have the consciousness, they intend to harm me. They wanted to harm me. They have this bad intention, and therefore, I am angry with them. If I say that, and then if I am not angry with, like, my bile and other humors that makes me sick and bring suffering, then and that and all this kind of sufferings and problems, pain they bring, but these people are trying, really want to harm me, and they're offensive, so therefore I'm angry. Then we have to understand that it's not like that. Even people who are trying to harm me or try to do something wrong, prevent, what all the things that we discussed before, or they are, saying or doing bad things, they are also, created by circumstances. It's not that they are born with this intention to harm me or make me unhappy or bring suffering to me. It's not that, some of my very good friends can sometimes become my problems. So therefore, it's not that they are not like that right from the beginning. They are also created by circumstances. They have no, how the things happened. Sometimes these people themselves have no control over these circumstances. So they are like same thing, like whatever. If I fall down and hurt myself, then I can't be angry at anybody. So in the same way, even people who do harm me and things like that, you cannot totally, say that they are the only bad one, because they are not necessarily bad, but they have been, in that circumstances, all the circumstances and causes and conditions are created so that they were compelled to do what they did. So therefore it's created by conditions. So therefore it's the same thing, like inanimate things causing me trouble. So therefore there's no really good reason to get angry with them, because they are impelled by circumstances. 23. Although they are unlooked for, undesired, these ills affect us all the same. And likewise, though unwanted and unsought, defilements nonetheless insistently arise. So they have been, we don't want negative things, but negative things happen. Uh, we don't want to be sick, but sometimes we get sick by doing something that usually is meant to help me. Say, like I eat food, and I need to eat food to sustain my livelihood, living my life. But then, if I would eat something wrong, or if I eat too much, or something like that, I can get sick. Not intentionally, but because of the circumstances. So in the same way, people uh, not they have no kind of pre-planned kind of intention to harm me or do something bad to me, but for instance, their negative emotions is also they have not planned to have negative emotions. It happens because of certain situations and certain conditions. So therefore, uh, these defilements and negative emotions are also coming out of uh, they arise, with causes and conditions, and not intentionally kind of created to harm me. And never thinking now I will be angry, people are impulsively caught up in anger. Irritation likewise comes, though never plans to be experienced. So, they don't come to, to be with you or to meet you or to be around you thinking that now I'm going to really, I'm going to come and meet this person, and then I'm going to get angry, and then I'm going to harm him, and then I'm going to be his enemy and try to do everything wrong for him. Nobody comes like that. If we meet people out of all different causes and conditions, we meet them. And sometimes we become good friends, we help each other, very good relationship. Sometimes, certain things turn up, and then, the relationships get bad, and then we become enemies, and then we harm each other. So it's not, there's nothing pre-planned. Everything happens because of causes and conditions. And these causes and conditions, we need to learn how to change, or how not to let them deteriorate, or because everything has uh, has to be two sides, like more or less, like you cannot clap with one hand. So therefore, I have some. Maybe I don't have all the conditions and causes of power, but I have a little bit, even to change that situation. I have some elements can be in my hands also to create that situation that it doesn't happen negatively. But if not, at least I have to see that I'm not reacting in a very bad way, so that it becomes even worse. So these are the important things to understand. All defilements of whatever kind, the whole variety of evil deeds, are brought about by circumstances. None is independent, none autonomous. So it's like that. All the defilements or kleshas or negative emotions, they all come dependently, interdependently, conditions because of this kind of circumstances and situations. And because of that emotions, then all the negative actions, like stealing, killing, all sorts of negative actions that I do also comes interdependently and with the wrong kind of negative conditions and coming up circumstances. And because of that, then I accumulate negative karma, and that will bring lots of pain and suffering and problems for me and others. All these things are not independently but dependently coming, interdependently coming. They are not independent, they are not autonomous, they are interdependently coming. So this is very, very important to understand. So therefore, actually, nobody is acting all, kind of totally like with this pre-planned intention. Not that they have completely like pre-planned intention. The circumstances creates these things. The 26th stanza: conditions once assembled have no thought that they will now give rise to some result, nor does that which is engendered think that it has been produced. So in the same way, conditions once come together that then have no thought that, that they will now give rise to some result. They just, the conditions, the causes and conditions are causes and conditions, so when these causes and conditions come together, then that result just appears. It's not that each of these causes and conditions have an intention that I want to produce this, I want to make this, not necessarily. And then the causes and conditions, the result that is engendered also doesn't have necessarily the idea that I will, I am a product of that causes and conditions, so this is my mission or something like that. There's nothing like that. These are coming from certain the philosophical, is kind of a little bit answer to some philosophical ideas, which I don't think we need to discuss this too much, because I don't think we have this kind of philosophical, like for instance, whatever, if somebody says that no, it's nothing is if it's not that everything is just happening because of causes and conditions, that happens interdependently, but there is not one cause that somebody like a creator intentionally created in this way, so that it's like that, so that it happens like that. So there's a pre-planned thing right from the beginning. If you say like that, it is not like that. That's the understanding from the Buddhist point of view, because the things, if I am anyway, no need to discuss too much on this. The primal substance, as they say, and that which has been called the self do not arise designedly, and do not think I will become. The primal substance, the primal substance. Some philosophers, some philosophies have this primal substance. There is a kind of primal substance, or there is a kind of a atma, or something, self, that is always there. That's the kind of preconditioned for all the things to happen and things like that. But they do not arise designedly. I will become like this, I will do this to harm this person. I will become the enemy of this person. I will become friend of this person. I'm supposed to, do some obstacle to this person. It doesn't come like that. Mm. There's maybe, if there is a soul, if there is a kind of, if even if the God has created, if there is a creator and everybody is created, and the God is not created only, that so that I have this enemy and this enemy is going to harm me and I have to be angry with this. There's nothing like that. These things happen afterwards. These things happen due to different conditions. For that which is not born does not exist. So what could want? So what could want to come to be? Because if you say that the cause was there right from the beginning, like the intention to kind of harm somebody or become my enemy is already there, even before this person happened, then this person cannot have the intention to harm because this person is not there. So when this person is not there, how can there be intention to harm this? So therefore, for that which is not born cannot think or does not exist. Not born does not exist. So what could want? So what is it? Something that is not existing cannot think that I would harm that person. So therefore there can't be a pre-planned thing. I don't know whether you understand this logic, but there cannot be something pre-planned too much because before that has happened, there can't be an intention, and before something that is there cannot be intention for that, and permanently drawn towards its object. It can never cease from being so. But if that is the case, if there is something like, if there is an intentional thing, and if there is a kind of a pre-planned thing, specially created to do that, if somebody is specially created to harm me, then this person would have nothing else to do but harm me. But that harming me would be, you can never change it. This person has to be always like that because there is no, is kind of created for that. But this is not how we see. This is not what happens. The things always can change, and then one person is living by his own, causes and conditions. It's not just there to harm me. So therefore, if we think that this person is only there to harm me, that's not possible. Indeed, this self, if permanent, is certainly inert like space itself. And should it meet with other factors, how could they affect it since it's unchanging? So then, if it is something really from the beginning there like that, then and the self is permanent. Now, this is maybe, these kind of things we will discuss later in chapter 9 and things like that. But if the self, or if there is something that is permanent, this is the Buddhist logic, that if it is something permanent, then it cannot change. It is like space. The space is permanent because there is nothing there. So therefore it is permanent. If there is nothing there, that can be permanent. Because there is nothing. So that nothingness cannot change. But if something can change, then it's not permanent because it changes. So therefore you cannot say something that is changing permanent. If it's permanent, then nothing can affect it, and it can affect nothing. They cannot be chemistry, they cannot cause and effect, it cannot produce anything, it cannot have any action or reaction or, activities. Because if there is activities, if there is reactions, if there is effects, if it can do something or can become something, then it cannot be permanent. So this is the Buddhist logic. So is certain mere the space itself, and should it meet with other factors, how could they affect it, since it is unchanging? But if you say that, well, it is permanent on its own, but it can have other factors. But then other factors, if there's other factors, then it is not impermanent, it is changing, because there are factors, and the factors are changing. So this is philosophically wrong. That's understanding, Buddhist understanding. So this is stanza number 30. If when conditions act on it, it stays just as it was before, what influence have these conditions had? They say that these are agents of the self, but what connection could there be between them? So this is the same thing. If when conditions act on it, the condition, even if there are conditions, and then that these conditions cannot change the something that is permanent. So the permanent has to remain as it was before without changing anything, even if there are conditions. And so therefore these conditions cannot have any influence on it if it is permanent. But they say that these are the agents of the self. And what connection could there be? So there cannot be a changing phenomena, or the conditions that are changing cannot have anything to do with something unchanging and totally permanent. There is no connection, because the changing thing cannot affect the unchanging thing, and unchanging thing cannot affect the changing thing, because changing thing cannot be affected and cannot affect, otherwise it is changing itself. So therefore you have a relationship. If there is two things which is one totally unchanging and one totally changing, then there cannot be a relationship with them. This is the kind of logic. So therefore there is nothing which is totally unchanging and permanent. So everything is conditional. All things, 31, all things then depend on other things. Everything that happens in the phenomena, in the world, in the cosmos, is because of interdependence. The dependent arise, and depend on other things. And these likewise depend. They are not independent. So then there's nothing independent. They are always dependent on something, and because of causes and conditions and circumstances. Knowing this, we will not be annoyed at things that are like magical appearances. So therefore there's nothing really, because it's all conditionally, independently and interdependently arising. So there's nobody who is totally like doing it only through a pre-planned intention to do something that's bad somebody or something like that. So everything is a little bit like magical, illusory, because when things are created by dependently and conditionally, there's nothing existing on its own. So therefore, what is there that you need to be angry or upset with? What is there that in you that would be, kind of consistently upset and angry and, things like that? So everything is conditional, everything is changing, everything is moving, everything is dependent, everything is emptiness, everything is illusory, everything is magical. So, if you understand this, there's nothing to be too much affected. Resistance, you may say, is out of place, for what will be opposed by them? So in that case, then You cannot even, practice patience, he says. The patience, by practicing patience, you cannot get rid of anger and, hatred and things like that, because the resisting is not possible. It's all conditional. And if you say that, the stream of sorrow is cut through by patience. There is nothing out of place in our assertion. But because everything is magical, everything is conditional, so therefore, when I feel, anger, then if I understand the circumstances and the way the things are, then I don't need to feel anger and hatred like that, because that reaction is, of course, a conditional reaction, but that was a wrong way of reacting. So therefore, when I understand that, and then really understand and learn how to, then I can change that reaction. So therefore, there's nothing wrong with that. It is not that there's nothing kind of impossibility of that if I can understand the situation, if I can, see this through, then the way I react would be different. Thus, when enemies or friends are seen to act improperly, remain serene and call to mind that everything arises from conditions. So this is the kind of the instruction at the end, and this stanza number 33. When enemies or friends are seen to act in an improper way, then then you know that that's not the time you to become angry and upset and hateful, but remain serene, and then you kind of call to mind or remember that everything arises from conditions. Everything is arising from conditions. So if you can change the condition, then the things will be different. And if you cannot change the outside conditions, you can change inner conditions. And so therefore your way of seeing things, your way of reacting, you understand that this all interdependent arising. It's not there. They are not totally kind of in charge of their emotions also, and things like that, and all different kind of circumstances. There is a series of causes and effects to anything that's happening. So therefore there's no one is solely or independently responsible for anything that happens, because it's created by so many causes and conditions. So when you see this, then you cannot be totally angry and upset and really hateful on one person. So this is the understanding. So 33, stanza number 33, we stop there.